Hey everyone, it's the Shawn. Welcome to another edition of Great Sales Leaders, where we talk to people who are sales influencers out there in the sales world, helping you get the tips and tricks you need to be more effective in the sales world. So I'm here with my regular co-host, Shannon Gregg. More about her in a second. Phil Gerbyshak is joining us today. Phil helps people really with a lot of their online presence, building those relationships, working through the steps to get to sales. So I'm really excited to have him here. He's given me a lot of great tips over the years. He gives his audiences a lot of great tips. And he's decided to spend a little time with us today to help you be more effective in your sales, particularly building that online presence, which will lead to those offline sales for you and your business. For those who don't know me as well, I'm the Shawn. I'm a corporate lawyer by training. I work a lot with business strategy, business plan execution for the future, including particularly the sales portion of it, getting sales teams organized, making things happen, time management, and other areas like that. My co-host, Shannon Gregg, sales, productivity systems, CRMs. We're all united around the sales world, and we wanted to bring this show together for you, as we usually do, to bring you sales tips to help you. Love your comments, so drop them wherever you're watching, whether that's on one of our LinkedIn feeds, on the Great Sales Leader YouTube channel, or if you're seeing it on Facebook, wherever you're at, drop your comments. We do read those comments. We look at those. We respond to those. We also welcome people to come onto the show. If we see particularly insightful or meaningful comments, that's a way that we find great guests to come onto the show. Remind you, we do not do legal advice or investment advice on the show. Consult your own advisors. Everything here is just for your education and enjoyment, and help spurn some ideas to help you build your business for the future. With that, Phil, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Shawn. Thanks, Shannon. It's great to be here, guys. Good to see you. Happy year, right? Holy cow.
Yeah, we're getting 2019 started. For those of you watching it live or soon after recording, January 2019. I know many of the principles are going to be timeless. For those of you who are watching it a little bit later, get your year off to a great start. Or if you're watching a little later in the year, kick things into a higher gear. So, Phil, what have you been seeing? You know, the online world is constantly changing. I guess there's some timeless principles and there's some things that are changing. What have you been seeing in the world as we move from 2018 into 2019?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest things that I see is that people are actually getting more active online. A lot of times before, they would set an outpost up and they would just say, okay, yay, I'm online. And that would be it, right? So the fact that we're seeing now more activity, I think, is really good. Now, why is that? Well, that remains to be seen, right? Is that something that they feel that they force, that they have to do? Or is it really a shift in how we do business? And I would say it's how we do business. So that's the first big shift. And I think that's important to know, to understand. And as the platforms become more easy to use, more valuable to use, and more more interesting to people, I think we'll see even more activity. So that's probably the biggest shift that I'm seeing.
I mean, I think a big thing I've seen in 2018 as the year progresses, a lot of the naysayers kind of got pushed to the side. I mean, for a long time, there was like this group of people that were like, well, online's not real. You know, you're just wasting your time. And I think we kind of hit critical mass throughout 2018, where it started to become very clear that online is just part of your business. It's got to be, right? And so many people are generating business from online. I think there's less and less people saying, hey, just being online is a waste of your time. It's become clear that it is a meaningful business place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think along with that, right, I think we've also seen some consolidation of online. So we used to think that, oh, you have to have a presence everywhere. And sure, if you're an experimenter like me, I'm a bit of a dabbler, because my clients come to me and they say, hey, so what should I be doing? So yes, you'll find me on all the channels, but no longer do I recommend that for my clients. I recommend that they pick a channel, maybe two, and they go really deep and they invest their time there, and not just spend their time there, right? That's another big shift, is the investment of time and thinking about, okay, well, I've got 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I've got an hour this week, today, whenever it is, what do I need to do? So that more deliberate action, I think, is another big shift.
Yeah. And what do you recommend in that regard? What do you say when you're thinking in terms of investing? What strategy do you have? Is it having an outline? Is it having a checklist for the week? What do you recommend?
Well, it depends why you're there. So as we think about online, we have to ask ourselves the first question, why am I here? And then the second question is, who am I here for? I think those two questions really help then define our action. But so many people, they're going to hear this and they're going to get right to the tactic and not think high level about the strategy. So I want to encourage you folks, if you're listening in, think who and why first. Mm-hmm. And then once you think through that filter, now we can talk about some of the tactics that are going to work for your day. So what do I recommend for a day on LinkedIn? And by a day, I mean the day that you're going to use it, not that you have to be on it all day. I don't even spend all day on LinkedIn. I don't even spend all day on the channels, but let's talk about LinkedIn. If on your day, what are you trying to do? So today might be a prospecting day, in which case I need to be off my timeline and in the other people's timeline that I want to talk to, because, you know, the algorithm isn't magic. It doesn't know who you want to talk to. Mm-hmm. So you have to make it happen. You have to say, hey, I want to talk more to Shannon J. Gregg. Therefore, I need to talk more to Shannon J. Gregg, right? I have to get off my timeline and go talk to those people. So that's the first thing, right? We have to think, do I prospect? And get off my timeline, because frankly, there's too much noise for inbound to be super successful unless you're like some mega influencer that LinkedIn forces into people's feeds. I mean, even Gary Vaynerchuk, who is an amazing content creator, he doesn't even show up in everybody's feeds. Sure. So stop believing that is even possible. That's kind of the first thing. The second thing around that is then be strategic about who you want to talk to. Right. So again, I talked about that, about getting off, but now really think about that. And every day, like, look through your calendar. Okay, who am I meeting with today? Look through your week. Who am I meeting with this week? And look through your month. Who am I meeting with? Because those are the people that you can best influence to actually do business with you, or often even better is to refer business to you because they like you, because they know you, because they've gotten to trust you.
Right. You'll know, like, and trust, right, Shannon?
It's totally true. And you know, Phil, you brought up such a good point, and that's social is part of our toolbox, right? It's part of our artillery. And, you know, we can't rely only on inbound. We can't rely only on outbound. And so when we're looking at sales, it is a strategy. There's not one magical tactic, but you cannot be in sales or marketing without social anymore.
Yeah, not anymore, right? Because even, let's pretend that you're not super active and you don't get off the timeline. Customers are still looking you up to have validation that you're any good. I mean, that's really important, right? This social proof, the Yelpification, if you will, of sales. People are looking. Have any of your customers ever given you a testimonial? Have they ever done that? So, because if they haven't, your younger, more digitally friendly, digitally native clients are thinking, no reviews? Really? I wonder how good that person really is. Right. So, so previously in sales, we'd be like, oh, I don't want to bother the customer. Well, you have to ask the question. You have to get some testimonial. And I'll tell you the best way to do that is first by writing a testimonial. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, it's not like this quid pro quo. Oh, I wrote Shannon one, I wrote Shawn one, therefore they're going to write me one. No. You can see on your LinkedIn profile that there's two tabs. One is received and one is given. If there's nothing in the given, you're a taker. So you got to write some reviews, right? You got to tell people, who do you like to work with? Why do you like to work with them? And on a project, right, on a big scale, if someone was just easy to work with, that's an awesome testimonial, because what I don't want is the opposite. I don't want someone who's a pain in the butt to work with. Yeah. So if they're easy to work with, say it.
Right. Yeah, and you can learn a lot through people's online personas. I mean, people discount that, but as you get more sophisticated in it, you can really know who your prospect is. There's digital tools out there that will analyze them, but you're leaving that footprint, and just make sure it reflects who you are, right? I mean, are you a nice person? Are you good to work with, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about, Phil, right? Let people actually know who you are when they read, so they believe it.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's the consistency of online and offline, because again, I do believe more of what I read online than often even what I see sometimes, because seeing someone is a snapshot. I might get a 30-minute meeting with someone. Well, online just adds up, right? It adds up over time. And that's the big difference, is because you can fool somebody for 30 minutes. I can tell you, I've worked with plenty of sales professionals who for 30 minutes, they were the nicest human being on the planet. When we walked out the door, the first thing they did is started complaining about how stupid the customer was and how dumb the sales team was and how they can't believe that the boss increased quota again this year. And all the, traffic is bad and the eggs are cold and coffee's ducky. And like, really, dude? Like, come on. Why did clearly you're a butthole except for in front of customers. And frankly, that means you're not going to get anything done behind the scenes because it's a team game now, right? Sales is no longer just about the lone wolf who goes out and kills what he eats, kills what she eats, and puts that in their belly and then says, yay, I'm the king of the world. That's not how this works anymore.
No way.
So online also gives us that, not just a hint, but really an ability to consistently see. And just because you're not connected to someone on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram doesn't mean you can't go out and do research on them. Let's be really clear. Most people are on multiple channels, but for multiple things. So stalk them a little bit, right? See where the heck they are. Do some Google searching and find out, where are they? Because it gives us those, as we're talking about our daily thing, and I know who I'm meeting with, I'm going to do a little homework, right? I'm going to put that in my, in my notes. Oh, I should bring this up with Shannon. Oh, I should talk about this with Shawn. This is an interesting thing because our first step in the sales process, and I would say every sales meeting, is to lower defenses, to get people to actually want to listen to what we have to say. So how better to do that than to mention, hey, Shawn, I just saw that you're playing with a new car. Or, hey, Shannon, I see you're a big fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's pretty cool, right? And we can have a conversation now about something that is not threatening, that lowers our defenses and makes us more open to having a conversation. And social makes that really possible.
Yeah, our goal really is just to establish trust, right? Because people do business with people they like and trust. And so if you can use social as a conduit to say, let's lower our defenses, which is such a great way to put it, Phil, and let's get this trust level established so that I can then become your trusted advisor, which is really where we want to be as salespeople.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say also, along with advice, we need to remember that people are watching us even when they're not watching us. And by that, I mean, we don't necessarily have to get that ping that says, hey, they saw our profile. We can know that we might show up in their feed in different ways and they're still watching. So as you're thinking about this and you're thinking about digital, remember, you are always on. That doesn't mean you always have to be on about business, but you need to be consistent. When you have things that are just totally wackadoodle, people ask questions. They're like, that doesn't seem like you. And while that one time may not do anything, over time, it hits them in the back of the head like a little niggle, like, I don't know if I trust this person. I don't know if I like this person. There's something off. And so we need to be really deliberate about that. And if you are a jerk, go get therapy, right? Because it's going to show up.
Well, you're talking a lot to disqualification, which is one of Shannon's favorite things when we work with sales teams. She's always like disqualify, disqualify, disqualify. And this is going both directions, right? You can start disqualifying prospects by looking at their online profile, but they're going to also potentially qualify or disqualify you based on what they're seeing, right? So you're not saying avoid mixing in personal elements, but don't mix in weird personal elements, or don't mix in things that are inconsistent with who you are, right?
Well, that's the big thing, right? So don't be a happy smile patrol person one day and be negative Nelly the next day. Don't talk about how much you value public schools in one post and then how crappy your kid's public school is in the next post. Right. And by the next post, remember, I don't mean sequentially. I mean, as your customers put these in their brain.
Yeah. Right.
That's the thing that we have to know is that even no matter how often we post, every post has to be able to stand on its own that says, this is indeed who this person is. Right. And if we don't think about that, we're going to be missed out.
Right. And I think the three of us are generally positive, upbeat people. I know all three of our personalities. We generally make the best of things and move forward. There's also a place out there for people that just tear things down and rebuild, right? I mean, there are people that are just like the mean person. They go in there, they say, hey, you got problems with your organization. I'm going to fix it. Here's your problem. Sure. This person has to go. if that's your personality and that's your style, then live that, right? I mean, we're not saying pretend to be something else. We're actually saying be completely consistent. If you're like the person who's serious and I'll make the hard decisions and I'll mix things up and remix them, if that's how you make your living and that's who you are, then show that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be who you are over and over and over again. So there's no surprise when you finally get the in-person or the Zoom meeting, so that nobody says, really? I thought that person was totally different. That's what you don't want, right? If you're a numbers person, that's cool. You don't have to be some flashy, dresser like Shawn here in order to be effective. If that's not who you are, don't be that way, but then don't be that way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I started wearing this, because I used to get on stage and I get off stage, people be like, you're not like every other lawyer, not like every other lawyer. Well, I wear the unusual do business differently clothes. It puts people on notice that I'm not every other lawyer.
That's right.
Phil, one thing I wanted to touch upon in our time today is automation. And that seems to be a big thing. And there's a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of people are trying automation tools out there. And I'm hearing a lot of different opinions about automation with social media in particular. What do you think?
Well, pure automation, I think, is always bad. Like, just automating everything doesn't work. Because here's the thing, right now, we can't possibly have a rich enough picture of who a person is to automate that effectively. Now, maybe one day we do. Maybe one day we do, right? When we've got, when the Harvey McKay questionnaire from the Minnesota Envelope Company, when people are willing to fill out 38 pages of questions online, okay, that may allow automation to work. But right now, it's so loosely demographically based that automation sucks. It just doesn't work. So I own a business, and if I put that I'm an owner, the pitches I get based on an owner, I got one yesterday. Hey, we'd love to help you set up your internet at home and to worry about your internet network. Dude, I work from home with free internet. Like, where did you get this? Well, you own a business, therefore this is your problem. No assumption. No, like, I get that we have to be assumptive as salespeople. I really do, right? We can't possibly know everything, but ask that as a question, not as an assumed yes.
Yes.
Right? We have to be curious more than we are forceful, because we don't know, right? Business owner is such a broad term that's not helpful.
Yeah, and maybe you have some advice for this. I got in a conversation with a guy the other day on LinkedIn, and it was a younger sales guy, and we were talking about automation and these form messages, and people were getting upset because they're getting the form messages, which are often very unresearched. They're just throwing it out there. And this young salesperson was like, yeah, but I've got to make quota. I would love to hear, what do you say to somebody like that? Like, I understand that automation doesn't work, and it burns some relationships, but this guy's like, well, I need to throw more spaghetti against the wall because I got to make quota.
Really? So is your boss paying you to put spaghetti on the wall? Or is your boss paying you to put numbers on the board?
Yeah.
When we think about it, if your boss, and some bosses do, right, they're paying an activity bonus.
Mm-hmm.
We have that, right? So I've got sales teams that I coach. Our bogey every week is 50 quality touches. Absolutely. Now, do we spank people because they don't get them, or do we really high five them if they hit 150? Not really. But what that does is that creates a behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that behavior is, I have to be fearless. I have to not be afraid of the phone. I have to not be afraid of cold outreach. Now, cold, I use that word, but by cold, I mean someone you don't yet know, not that you didn't research it. So what would I tell a young salesperson? So first of all, figure out the tools that you have. Do you have a tool that's going to provide more information than just what you see online? Because a lot of times, in these organizations, they have one point of contact. They say, nope, this is the tool we use. Right. We only use Rain King. Okay, great tool. Great tool. Love Rain King. Think it's a great tool. Here's the challenge. It gives us one look into somebody's life. And I don't know about you, but I don't think about work all day. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm working, I'm thinking about the rest of my life, right? I'm thinking, oh, cool, I get to talk to Shannon and Shawn today. And oh boy, I got to go, I haven't had my walk yet today. So I got to go do that. And oh yeah, I'm teaching a class at UNC today. Oh yeah. And by the way, Sunday I'm going to Disney, and what am I going to have for lunch? And yeah, I've got coffee, but oh, it's almost gone. What am I going to do about that? And all of that's swirling in my head. Well, if all someone does is come at me with a business solution, you're hitting like 1/8 of my day.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking about. Now, it is not that I am not working. Let me be really clear here. I am working, but it is not the only thing on my brain. I'm thinking about other stuff, right? I could be thinking about my favorite sports team. I could be thinking about my kids going to school. I could be thinking, hey, it's a perfect time to pick honey bells here in Tampa, so I should go picking oranges. All this stuff. Now, pay attention, okay? So sales kid who's thinking, I got to hit my number. If you started your conversation with, hey, Phil, I saw that awesome picture. You picking oranges. What kind of oranges are those? Oh, well, goal is to lower defenses so that I'm willing to engage.
Right.
Well, holy cow, really? You asked about oranges? Yeah, so that was last year. I was picking honey bells at Dooley's Grove and Orchard out in Apollo Beach, Florida. And man, I love a fresh orange. And I likely would ask a question. Do you like oranges? Yes, I do. Or no, you don't. Either answer is okay. But let's talk about it, right? And I'm now willing to lower my defenses and to have a conversation with you. Whereas before, you're talking about one thing. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about something else. And if we really do a good job of putting that together, now we've got 6 or 8 questions that we can possibly ask instead of some crazy sequence script.
Yep.
That you don't even know where I am in the buying cycle.
Yeah, and the other thing I told sales kid, and you're leading right there, is when you hit somebody with a pitch right away, they say yes or no, and 90 out of 100 times they're going to say no, and they're going to delete your profile or block you or whatever. Whereas I told them, if you have the conversation, do you like oranges? You go that direction, like you're talking about, Phil. Maybe that person's not a buyer of your service, but then you say, hey, well, I sell internet for people that own businesses. And you say, well, I don't use that, but my friend Joe over here was just called me the other day and said he's looking for somebody new, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get through if you burn the bridge, in the first conversation, you don't know if they might be a great referral source or they might need you in the future.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just think so much of it is based in not understanding who the best buyer is. So we've got some of these young salespeople who come into the profession and they think they need to spray and pray instead of saying, I know who my ideal buyer is. And it's not everybody. And that's a tip for everyone. Everybody is never your audience.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a super, super duper point, right? Because that's where, remember at the beginning, we talked about the who. Who am I trying to talk to? And I would also add to that, you have to write your profile in such a way that when that who actually looks at you, that who actually says, yeah, that's someone that I'd like to talk to. That's someone that at least I might take an inquiry from. Not, oh yeah, they're so awesome, I'm going to reach out and just open up my wallet and give them all my money. Well, that's not how this works, right? But they have to be willing to take that time, because even if you're super awesome and they go back and look at your profile and you look like super turd boy, it's not going to work.
Nope.
Right? That's the thing. You have to think, how can I be a resource to my buyer? Yep. Really, really important.
Hey, Phil, what other tips do you have that we didn't cover today?
Well, so we talked about profile. We talked about outreach. I do recommend absolutely setting up a sequence of things that you could talk about. But understand, it's not a sequence, it's an outline, right? So you have 10 things that you could talk about, 10 things to look at on somebody's profile, 10 ways when you Google search. So I'll give you just a couple of the ones that I always look for. So athletics. Are they into sports or do they run themselves? A lot of people now, they might do fun runs. They might do the Disney run. I can tell you, someone yesterday posted that she is a Disney or a Star Wars half marathon fanatic. Yep. Okay. Knowing that now gives me totally different information than I did when I just heard that she owned a business.
Right.
So make that, make that dossier 10 things that I could talk about. Yes, some of those are work related if you get there, but you have to lower defenses first. So those are some things that we covered, but some of the things that I didn't cover, and that is you have to be consistent. This is not an event. This is not a process. This is a system for putting into your business over and over again. I don't care if you do it 3 times a week or every single day or twice a day or whenever you do it. But I do recommend you inject this into your sales process, that you put it there, and then always think about the why. What am I trying to do? And then the last tip that I'll give is remember that people like people that are more fun. Yep. So find a way to make this fun, not just work. Because I don't need more work. Y'all don't need more work. I need more fun in my life. Yes. So find a way to make it fun.
I know. You just a quick aside. I got a request from a woman on Facebook a couple of days ago, and I wrote to her, said, "Hey, great. I see we do parallel stuff. Would love to chat with you sometime." She's like, "I'm not here to chat. I'm just here to send you information." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
Fantastic. I can order that through the mail.
Exactly.
I can Google that.
Yeah. She's like, I don't talk to people. I just send them information.
God bless you. Good luck.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So build a relationship, folks, and talk to people. Get to know them, because they're not going to do business if they don't know you. Shannon?
I'm writing down that Phil said, be consistent, be prepared, be yourself, and have fun. And I'm going to do those 4 things. I'm writing them down, Phil. That is the goal of all of us.
Have fun is an important point that often gets missed, right? Because people don't want to do business with people that aren't fun.
Nope.
Yeah. And remember, it's fun to them. So it doesn't mean you have to be like me. Doesn't mean you have to be like Shannon. Doesn't have to mean you're like Shawn. It does mean that you have your brand of fun and have it often. Because if people see that you're enjoying what you do, that means they're likely going to enjoy working with you. And if they can, that is a differentiator. Because most people, it's drudgery.
And I Phil, like somebody wrote to me one time, they're like, who's this guy on your show with the bright orange glasses, right? I mean, the bright orange glasses didn't appeal to them, but they remember you're the guy with the bright orange glasses, and that's not your customer. But somebody else says, hey, he's fun, he's a little different, he's not going to give me the same sales strategy as everybody else. That's your customer, right? And same thing with me with the coats. I mean, I disqualify myself from a lot of people, and we all do that, but don't be afraid to take a stand a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Don't be a butthole, but do take a stand.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So Phil, I know you're a wealth of information. I know you go out and work with organizations. You speak to folks. You have some courses. Why don't you tell folks how to check your materials out if they want to dive deeper with you?
Sure. So I do a lot of coaching, like you said. I do a lot of speaking, a lot of training. What I would tell people is if you want to figure out how to make your profile better, I'm going to give you a free resource that you can get. Just go to LinkedIn profilereportcard.com. You can sign up. I've got a 10-point report card that you can get that will give you the best things about your profile that you need. From there, certainly connect to me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with you. If you can spell Gerbyshak, you can find me. Gerbyshak. It's true. I own the last name of Gerbyshak. My family anglicized it about 1905 when they came over from Poland. So happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Or if you have a favorite social platform, please check me out. Connect with me there. I am experimenting on all of them. I'm not super great at using Instagram or Snapchat, but I am there. And if that's where you are and you're interested in having a conversation, friend me up, send me a message. We can chat however you like, because I absolutely am committed to helping sales professionals and small businesses succeed better digitally. And that means I'm going to experiment so you don't have to.
Great. Thanks for being such a great resource, Phil, for bringing us so much information. Folks, thanks for tuning in. You can check out our other episodes on the Great Sales Leaders YouTube channel. You'll also find us on Facebook. So check us out, Sales Leadership Done Right. Go check us out, look at some past episodes, see some upcoming guests we got, and join us for another episode. Hopefully Phil will come back and join us at some point and give us some updates and some additional tips. And we're glad you joined us today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.